Hello guys, and welcome back to my vlog. I know it's been a couple of weeks, but I think you'll agree with me when I say that I've been kind of busy and I have a pretty good excuse. I may have just broken my own record for my largest tournament cash and became the first woman ever to win a Triton event. I'll get to that at the end of this vlog, and I'll even do a whole other vlog talking about my win, but for now, let's check out what I did in the couple of weeks leading up to this event. Right after my session at the lodge, I rushed my way to the airport to catch a flight to Dubai. I actually kept changing my mind about whether or not I should even go because the scheduling was kind of tight and I generally don't like to be super rushed. But I received a notification last minute that the flight to London was delayed, so I saw it as a sign that I should. I arrived to my hotel and immediately noticed how multicultural the city was. I'll admit that I knew next to nothing about the region other than perhaps through Sex and the City 2 and when I was into the show Homeland. This trip certainly inspired me to learn more about this rapidly evolving territory. I booked a safari tour the same day and drove around in a jeep across the desert to check out the few species of wildlife that live in these parts. Before the United Arab Emirates got wealthy from oil, the original Bedouin were a nomadic people living off the land. It was fun to get a taste of their traditional culture through the food, camel rides, and demonstrations of how they trained hawks to help them hunt. I even learned some things about star navigation, as that was one of the key tools they used to get around. The next day, I went to their Chinatown, which was in the ginormous Dubai Mall, and honestly had some of the best Chinese food anywhere. People say it's the most authentic Chinese food in the city, and I certainly believe that. A big thank you to our gracious owner host, who is also a poker player. Go check out Town Chinese Restaurant if you happen to be in town. Afterwards, I went to explore the modern parts of the city, starting at the marina. Apparently, that Ferris wheel in the distance is twice as large as the London Eye. I generally don't have a sweet tooth, but I really enjoy the lokum or Turkish delights. Not only are they so pretty, they aren't too sweet and come in flavors like rose and pistachio and bergamot and saffron. My day ended with a trip to the top of the world's tallest structure, the Burj Khalifa. Burj means tower and Khalifa is the name of the second president of the modern UAE. I am at the toppest floor that you can get onto, that where you can go outside at the Burj Khalifa. And it's honestly pretty cool. Obviously, we're very high up, but I don't like how unsettling it is. That when you're like walking on this floorboard, you can hear the creaking. Don't like that at all. Can't go any higher than this. Okay, honestly, it doesn't feel that much taller than the CN Tower. And they don't have that glass floor thing, so like, it's hard to be really freaked out. Like, I just feel like I'm at the top of like a skyscraper or something. The next day, I met with a local friend who took me to this lovely organic vegetarian restaurant that was a whole different vibe than what I had experienced in the city thus far. Very delicious food from my local travel guide. And me. They had a divan cacao menu that was a heart opener to some intense political conversation.
You feel very peaceful after this?
After that, I met my friend Sashimi on a dinner in the sky experience. No one can say that there's a shortage of fun and exciting activities to do in Dubai. Because the city was built so recently, they really seem to keep entertainment in mind. And entertained we were. It was a big week for the crypto community in the city, and Sashimi's new sponsor threw a legit party. I barely drank anymore, but turned up for a bit before resting for my last day in the Middle East. The next day, I took a day trip to Abu Dhabi, a city some of my friends enjoy more than Dubai. Abu Dhabi is a bit more traditional, and there was a strict dress code while visiting the Grand Mosque. It was such a beautiful sight with incredibly ornate decor from floor to ceiling, made of fine marble with gold and precious stone accents. I was enamored by the floral design, made to symbolize the appreciation for nature alongside their worship of God. There was also consistent messaging that promoted unity, compassion, tolerance, and acceptance of humanity in all its faiths. That evening, I caught a flight to Hong Kong en route to Osaka. I've only ever been to Tokyo in Japan, and honestly it can be a little too overwhelming for my senses. As I've gotten older, I'm just less drawn to the appeal of busy intersections and neon light. But who doesn't love the charm and quirkiness of Japanese culture? One aspect I don't really get, however, is the host and hostess scene. Paying someone that much money for company seems silly, but maybe I'm just speaking from too privileged a point of view. I imagine the scene is so big because of this loneliness problem I hear about in the country. A local told me because Japanese people often don't communicate their true feelings and intentions, that in combination with the rigidity of the customs means they often feel weighed down by the expectations and rules of formal friendships and relationships, and thus prefer not to burden others or succumb to that pressure. We also went to this mega complex where there were 9 floors of activities, and we got to play a ton of different sports. It was a great workout and such a blast because it's so much harder as an adult to get people together and do all these activities you enjoyed when you were younger. I even won my first ever prize on the claw machine. I thought these things were impossible. There was no shortage of things to do in Osaka, but honestly, I enjoyed my trip so much because I got a ton of work done, I got downtime to study, and I mostly just relished in the TLC of my best friend, who kind of nursed me back to health and happiness and prepared me for my next trip. Here's Radha and I having a fairy tale magical day at Nala. Let me tell you, they may look gentle, but some of them were straight up robbing us whenever we let our guards down. I had a whole banana snatched from my shoulder bag. The deer gulped the whole thing down before I could even react. Like so many others, the food is my favorite part about the country. It's so easy to eat delicious and relatively healthy. Here is sashimi taking me to a restaurant that specialized in pufferfish. It's known to be highly toxic and the chef requires special training to prepare. This was my favorite meal of the trip as the restaurant used every part of the fish to create a unique meal. At the end of my trip, we checked out the World Expo, a fair that was started in Prague in 1791. It now happens every 5 years in rotating cities, and this year it just so happened to be in Osaka. Basically, almost all the countries of the world get together and showcase their own culture and their recent environmental and technological advancements. We had a good time checking out the France, China, and Canada exhibitions. Here's me tracing my path through Canada on my trip a couple years ago when I played poker in every province and territory. Woohoo! And now all the way. And now, on to the part you've all been waiting for. So I'll do a longer video about the entire experience and how I think I 100% manifested this win in some really spooky ways. I'll give you guys a general update as to how I won this $25,000 buy-in tournament, especially when I hardly play tournaments anymore. And also, this is the last event I'm playing as a WPT Global Ambassador, and this is the only event at Triton that's literally called the WPT Global Slam. So I flew in from Osaka the day before through Istanbul. I had a terrible cold just a few days prior, and I knew I was only going to play this one event in Montenegro. Not only because I'm not about to jump into these insanely tough fields with the best in the world for a lot of money, but because there was also a series in Jeju, Korea I was scheduled to go to for their good cash games, and obviously any other tournament series in the world is going to be softer than this one at the same time, and I'm not in the business of playing these to fuel my ego because I know I don't have an edge here. The cliffs of how I won the tournament was, I won a 3-way all-in pretty early on, which coasted me through the mid-stages of the tournament. I then won a bunch of all-ins, which is quite mandatory to take these down, and became a medium stack near the bubble, and remained there for the most part with some periods of dips versus ICM pressure. I'm quite happy overall with how I played. I made a notable fold with a set, which I'll talk more in depth about in my next vlog, and I think I played decently heads up. I was lucky in many ways. I got hands when I needed them, and I got to ladder to get heads up with one of the best players in the world, mostly due to me getting to this spot twice already in the past couple of months. More importantly, despite me certainly being nervous and anxious in this unfamiliar arena, I was quite proud of my overall focus and mental.
Here we go. I see a 7.
Jack 7-5, and Schwann has just outflopped Daniel. One club on board, but perhaps 2 cards away from history. Must go Daniel's way. The turn. Not what he needs. Is this the moment that Schwann tastes glory in her first outing? Yes, it is!
She did it. Schwann Liu.
That's great.
Oh, she's happy.
Gracious in defeat was DeVoris there, offering her a hug. and the affirmation that she played great.
You're here picking up your first Triton title. Did you ever imagine when you knew you were going to be coming here to Montenegro that after 3 days we'd be standing here presenting you with this trophy?
Well, I came only to play this one event, but I told myself I was going to make it really count. And obviously, this is beyond my wildest dreams. I was really, I didn't have the chip lead at all at the final table and had a huge deficit going into heads up. So obviously, I ran really hot. And I know I really can't hang on a day-to-day basis, but this is what the beauty of poker is all about. Anybody can get lucky on any given day. What a crazy few months this has been for me. I am currently in Las Vegas for a poker summer camp after some time in Toronto, and I'm gonna see if I can manifest some more wins. Thank you so much for your support and tuning in as always, and hopefully I'll see you next week. Good luck.